Hey, thanks for joining us for the last episode here of the Iowa DNR Pheasant Survey. In this episode, we talk about what the state is doing to improve habitat, which would improve the populations of pheasants moving forward, and we talk about raccoons. So this is a must-watch episode. Hope you enjoyed the series here, and thanks for watching.
Hi, this is Tim and Doyle.
Welcome to Midwest Hunting and Outdoors by Two Dumbasses,
A podcast about the outdoors, hunting,
and being a steward of the land.
Hey, if you like what these two dumbasses are doing, please hit the like button and subscribe today.
Todd, if we can kind of shift gears just a little bit, or at least these questions are going to force you to shift gears a little bit. So what is what's the state doing? What's the strategies of the state? And you're kind of the leader of this to increase the population. So, embedded in that question, do you guys do any, planting of birds or anything like raising birds or anything like that?
Okay. Yeah, that second question's easy to answer. That's no. Within state government, there's generally rules in place where you're not supposed to compete with private business. We have a lot of private shooting reserves that do birds put and take, and the state dumping them out for free would be direct competition with them. So we kind of figure they can handle that part of the hunter community that wants to do that very well. And so we let them do it. They're good at it, and know how to do it. So no, we don't do any put and take type hunting within Iowa. As far as wild birds and our focus, of course, we're always trying to buy public land. Iowa is one of the lowest public land states in the country. I think almost dead last. Maybe Rhode Island, Connecticut have less public land than we do. And so we acquire about 3,000 acres a year. It's kind of what we've been averaging. So not a big figure when you think about the state of Iowa, but some of that's forested because obviously we have deer and turkey hunters too. It's not all pheasant habitat. So, we slowly add a little bit every year, but certainly that doesn't meet the demand that our hunters have. And so most of Iowa is a private land state, and obviously we can't tell landowners what they can and can't do with their land. All we can do is provide good information and programs. And so that's where I spend a lot of time working on USDA, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. CRP in Iowa is probably our biggest habitat program. We've got 1.6 million acres in the state. To put that in perspective, we might have 150,000 acres of public land that we manage. So, a factor of 10 more. So it's just huge in what it means to our upland game population. So, yeah, I work with our USDA staff in the state. We have a special project in CRP called SAFE that's specifically targeted at pheasants, where landowner enrolls in this practice. They have to do a good patch of winter cover. They have to put a nice food plot by it. And they also have to put a good patch of nesting cover right by it. So I like to think of it as the bedroom, the living room, and the kitchen, all right there. Birds never have to leave the cover, always protected, always hidden from predators, no need to be in the open. Good winter cover, good food, good nesting cover. So we have a quail safe in the state, targeted at quail, a little different factors, but so that's really what we're promoting. Like I said, we have private land staff scattered across the state that work with private landowners and talk about programs. Pheasants Forever as an organization also has farm bill biologists, and they work very closely with our staff. We're always working together and trying to get as much good information out there to programs. A lot of times the landowners don't even realize what programs are available to them on their farm, what kind of cost share is available, which ones they're eligible for. And so, we had a crash with our pheasant population, some bad winters there from 2007 to 2010, and the legislature directed us to, see what the state could do in additional to kind of rebound the population. And so we brought on a bunch of the ag folks like the corn growers, the soybean growers, Farm Bureau. We brought in a lot of landowners, the NGO groups like Pheasants Forever ourselves, and just, I had this brainstorming session. And one of the big things that came out from many avenues was just better information for landowners, knowing the tools that are out there and available. So, and I'll probably end with one of the other programs that we started through Farm Bill is our IHAP program, which is our walk-in hunting program. So what we've done with that is a lot of landowners have CRP. Maybe it isn't the best for birds, but we go in with that landowner and say, if you make these improvements to the habitat, we'll pay for it. If you allow public hunting access, that's our return for our investment in it. And so we've got 40,000 acres of that spread across the state now. So, habitat that's out there that's now open to the public. So that's another way that we've tried to, bump up, strictly voluntary on the landowner's part. But, they need some help managing their habitat. We can provide some dollars to do it. And for doing that, they give us public access. So encourage everybody to check out our hunting atlas on our webpage. Just go to the iowadnr.gov and type in hunting atlas, and you can see all of our public lands there, both our lands, county conservation board lands, and our walk-in hunting areas.
I didn't even know that. That's awesome information. That hunting atlas, that's a nice little nugget of information I didn't realize. No, this has just really been great from Todd. So I don't have anything right now, Jake.
Yeah, awesome. Last question I've got, Todd, is just kind of 5 years from now, right? We're kind of talking year to year here, but do you envision anything changing either with the population or how we're managing the population in the next 5 years, i.e. genetics, technology, whatever it would be that might change the game here in Iowa that we might see something, an increase in the birds?
Well, it's certainly all related to habitat. And so, we've got a farm bill coming in 2023. Congress always renews the farm bill every 5 years. And so I've already spent a bunch of time working on that, trying to keep CRP at a level that's sustainable. CRP used to be at 36 million acres nationwide. Over the last couple of farm bills, they've knocked it down to as low as about 22. And so we lost a bunch of habitat in those years, just landowners couldn't get back in. They've since raised it up to 27 million. I would like that to go higher. I'd like to see us get back up to 37, because if I can put habitat on the ground, we can grow a bunch more birds here, but just all related to habitat on the ground. Will that happen? We're in a major drought. Crop prices are high. We started a war in Ukraine, which cut into ag supplies like wheat and corn and soybeans. It's driving prices up. So, we've seen some landowners leave the program in Iowa because, the neighbor's willing to pay a $300-400 an acre rent. Crop prices are high. So, I don't blame people for that. So, but I think if the war in Ukraine would wrap up sooner than later, it'll put a downward pressure on prices and they'll fall. And that's when CRP gets a lot more attractive to landowners, because they'll look at those marginal lands and say, you just ain't returning the profit. And I think CRP is a better fit for that part of the field. And, maybe we'll put that back in, and obviously we get more birds out there. So people ask me about, maybe 10, 20 years down the road, what do I see? You've heard all this talk about bioenergy and perhaps making ethanol from like switchgrass or native grasses. If that ever happened, depending on how it's managed, that could put a lot of potential habitat out there on the landscape if we started planting switchgrass or native grasses to, create fuel. But so far it hasn't happened. There's been a lot of test projects about it, but it's not really taken off as competitive yet. But, who knows what the future brings.
Yeah, well, this dumbass has an opinion on what would jump up the level of pheasants in Iowa, and it'd be put a bounty on every raccoon that there is out there 365 days a year and kill them all.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see the fur market come back. So I guess message to everyone out there hunting is buy your wife a fur coat and the prices up. Right now we've seen such a drop off in trappers, and you can't blame them. $2 or $3 for a coon pelt. It ain't hardly worth the gas anymore. So
no. No, absolutely.
That was
Todd?
a very good politically sensitive answer, Todd. That was very well answered.
It was very well done. Todd, any topic or any message you'd like to send before we close out?
No, I'd say, if you're an avid pheasant hunter, don't be afraid to share that with your elected officials about CRP and the importance of the habitat programs we have. You look at the survey, that you guys have got in front of you in the 1960s there, we were at almost 10 million acres of habitat. And today we're under 3. I mean, it's not rocket science why we don't see the birds that we saw 40 years ago. It's just got to give them a place to live. And so I think we crank out good bird numbers as good as we ever have, where we still have habitat. We just don't have near what we used to have. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you drive down the highway, you still see farmers clearing out habitat for more acres. I mean, we all see it, right?
Yep. And, I understand that, farmers make a living at it. I come from a farm background. My wife's family was a farm background. And so, but there's also those areas, that aren't as productive, and areas long stream where water quality and chemicals are a big issue. And so, I think there's definitely spots on the landscape that, should be in conservation and not farmed. And so I think it's just, getting that information out and making sure everybody's aware of what programs are available to them.
Excellent. Well, Todd, certainly do appreciate you joining us, and would love to have you on a future podcast down the road, maybe on doves, or maybe after the season of pheasant, just check in with you and see how it's going.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Had fun today. So appreciate it, guys.
Great.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Todd. And, and Joel, and until next time,
be safe.
Have fun.
And get outdoors.
Yeah, go chase some birds. It's going to be a good fall. Can't wait.
Thanks for listening or watching our show. We have some exciting topics and guests coming up.
We ask that you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
We look forward to hearing your suggestions for topics,
Questions and comments. This is Two Dumbasses signing off. Until next time,
be safe,
have fun, and get outdoors.